Hey everybody, this is Jason with SUMURI here to do another podcast, and I thought I'd give everybody a break from Steve this week. We've got Sam Deckoff, our senior manager from the TALINO division here, so we're going to talk to him in a minute, but first I want to make sure everybody's out there staying safe and healthy. We're still doing good here in Delaware. We certainly feel for the rest of the world and everything that's going through it, so know that SUMURI is always there for you if you need anything. Reach out to our page. We've got a new thing on the website where we focus on small local businesses. So please check that out if you're a small local business. It's a great opportunity. And with that, I want to introduce Sam Deckoff. Sam, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jason. How are you?
Hey, awesome, great. So if you wouldn't mind, why don't you give us a little bit of your background and what you do here and what makes you special?
Sure. So my background comes from computer network engineering as well as information systems management. But I mean, that was my schooling. In terms of experience, I have a lot of different, many years of building computers, fixing them, putting together systems for people that meet certain specific requirements for them. So I mean, like a lot of my background, even before schooling, obviously, like a lot of kids, I'm sure, comes from video games. And you would think that might not help out as much as you might think, but it has been really useful to me here lots of times. And so I oversee the TALINO division here. That means including building the machines, selling them, making sure that they're installed properly, they're running as well as they can, they get out the door on time so that everybody is happy and the machines work just as expected.
Yeah, so I can vouch for that. Every time I go by the TALINO office, there's always some kind of Nintendo song playing from there. So Sam is definitely a big gamer and has been for years. And then, so also, why don't you tell us a little bit about the design work you do here with us on the TALINO products and what qualifies you for that?
So here in the TALINO aspect, I've recently got my CFCE, which is a Certified Forensic Computer Examiner, so it allows me to that's one of the things that I know that we push really hard here. We want all the people designing and configuring the systems to have their CFCE, and so that allows me to design and configure those same systems for people that need to do forensics on them better than just about anybody else would. I understand what those systems need in order to complete the jobs that people need them to the very best they can.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right about that. It's not that we want everyone to be a certified computer forensic examiner. We require everyone to be a certified forensic computer examiner. So it's one of the key things we base our design work on is making sure that whoever's designing the equipment or selling the equipment understands what our customer needs and can actually talk to them intelligently about their system, about their machine, and the capabilities of it, and make sure they get the right product. So with that, like I said, welcome to the SUMURI family. I know you've been here a couple of years, but I think this is our first time getting you on one of the podcasts. So what I'd like to talk about today, Sam, if you don't mind, is what you guys are doing back there about cryptanalysis and workstations for cryptanalysis, because I think it's some really awesome stuff that you guys have going on. So why don't you kind of give us an idea of what cryptanalysis is, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So cryptanalysis is, as Wikipedia puts it, is the study of analyzing information systems in order to study the hidden aspects of the system. It is used to breach cryptographic security systems and gain access to the contents of encrypted messages, even if the key is unknown.
Okay, so that's something Steve might understand. Can you put that in words that I can catch up to?
Sure. To put it very simply, we can use it to break into encrypted files and containers, whether you know how to unlock it with the given key or not.
Okay, so that's something obviously that becomes more and more prevalent with the number of characters that people are using in passwords, the complexity of things, and the way things are doing. Mm-hmm. So what are you guys doing to combat that? What are we doing in the real world to make that easier for our clients?
So we have a few different models of TALINO that we sell, and I'm just going to go over just a very general, broad view of things right now. But the way a cryptanalysis machine is put together, it is put together such that it can crack as many passwords or more passwords per second. So, I mean, in other words, that would mean that you put more, you build the hardware from the ground up so that it's purpose-built to crack passwords as quickly as possible.
So I'm looking for like a high-end CPU to put in that thing?
Not necessarily. A CPU can help, but a CPU, you can sort of think of it like a jack of all trades, while like one of the things, the specific thing that makes a cryptanalysis machine so good are graphics cards or GPUs. Those are specialists, but they're not really great at many things outside of what they're specifically good at. So I mean, a GPU is going to be, or more than one GPU is going to be the ideal way to get a cryptanalysis machine to go as fast as possible and crack as many passwords as you can.
So without getting too technical, give me an idea what the difference is in say like in cores between a CPU and a GPU, and how you can apply that to algorithms to crack.
Sure. So I mean, to put it very plainly, so I'm sure a lot of viewers out there, our listeners out there, have heard about AMD's recent Threadripper CPUs. Those are really, really powerful, and their newest model, the 3990X, has a whole whopping 64 cores and 128 threads on it. To put that in perspective, the 2080 Ti has 4352, so 4,352 cores in it. But keep in mind that it's operations that are supposed to be running in parallel. So I mean, it's these cores working together, kind of like a CPU, but for very specialized things like password cracking or other applications.
Awesome. So tell me what that means on the TALINO side of things. How do you use that information to design a custom cryptanalysis rig for our customers?
So for me, it's more like putting together a machine, like I was mentioning earlier, that's built from the ground up to be as fast as possible with cracking password. That means picking a specialized motherboard that allows you to connect more graphics cards at once, making sure that you have adequate RAM, adequate cooling, adequate basically anything else the customer might need. Maybe they need to be able to still do forensics on it. So there are certain motherboards that might restrict us in terms of what actual components that we can connect to it, because as you can imagine, having 4 of these great big graphics cards takes up a lot of room, and it needs proper cooling.
So 4 sounds good, but I mean, it keeps getting harder and harder to do this, right? You guys do things other than 4-card systems, right?
That's true. So the 1001 starts off with 3 graphics cards, which is already a ridiculous amount of power. 4 graphics cards are found in the 1002, and in a very specialized chassis. It's a 4U chassis that's really designed to be mounted inside a server. You can put a whole whopping 8 graphics cards in there. So that's just a mind-blowing amount of power and password cracking capability.
And so you guys could do that 4U solution over and over again in an 84-inch rack, right? And multiply that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about so now that we know we can get a bunch of those GPUs in there, right? Which that's impressive. Let's talk about what those GPUs can do. So if you have one of those GPUs, what are you looking at? And obviously I know it varies depending on what kind of software you're using, but just a rough idea of what you can compute with those kind of things using it.
So that's a good question. Let's see. So I'm going to say that in terms of like one graphics card, you could get like a few billion passwords attempted, obviously significantly faster than any human hand could do. But I mean, as you continue to scale it up, the great part is that you don't necessarily need to have the cards like communicating with one another. They're each given individual jobs, and they can run off to the races in order to try additional password cracking.
So that's kind of a high-end number, right, based on the perfect world situation and just running algorithms. But the reality is with most of the programs today, you're throttled down based on the complexity and what's going on with it. But you guys are designing them in terms of not only what can you do today, but what can be done tomorrow, what we can do from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then let me ask you this, talking about programs that you have to do. Is this something that you have to pay for a program to use on a cryptanalysis machine? Are there options that are open source? What are the options that our customers have there?
So in terms of options, there are a lot of options out there, both in terms of pay for and open source and free to download just out of the gate. One of the ones that I like is Hashcat. That's one that's an open source program that you can use to calculate hashes. That's one of the ways of actually computing the answer as to whether or not you have the password cracked or not. And it's just a really powerful program that scales up with the hardware that you have in the system, and it's totally free. But there are pay-for versions. One of the ones that I know that I've got a little bit of experience with is a program called Passware. This one is a general password cracker that runs on Windows, but I mean it can recover passwords for Mac too. It runs on modern hardware, but it does cost something out of the gate. But it is a powerful program, and then I know a lot of our customers that have bought crypto machines do use it. And in fact, we do include a copy of Passware with our crypto machines.
Sure, and this is like any other forensic tool, right? It's really dealer's choice based on your use, what you like, what you do. So I'm a little bit partial to outcome Soft and John the Ripper. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there. And certainly your mileage can vary with different ones, so it doesn't hurt to be able to combine some of the paid tools with some of the open source tools for there. So I know you talked about being a gamer, and we all know that living and working with you here at SUMURI, it's quite obvious. But what else can you tell us about gaming and how that works with that and what people see?
So it's pretty interesting. We've seen significant developments from both Intel and AMD over the years in terms of like power of processors, and graphics cards continue to move up as well. I know for a lot of the gamer guys out there that or gamer gals as well that are out there, they probably have heard the age old joke, but can it run Crysis? And so CPUs have come a long way, but it's really hard to compete with the insane core count of GPUs. Recently, it was a video I saw recently on YouTube from the tech channel Linus Tech Tips. They showed that, interestingly enough, that high-end Threadripper I mentioned, that 3990X, it actually can run Crysis with no GPU at all. It's not obviously ideal, but it was just really astonishing that you can get playable frame rates out of that game using just the processor alone, which was just, I thought, mind-blowing, just to see how far we've come.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So can you take that and combine that? So I guess the question is your CPU power going to help you with the GPU, or are you stuck with just GPUs?
So it really depends on the program itself. There are certain programs, like I know Passware can leverage not just the graphics cards, but it can also leverage your processor as well. Obviously, it's not going to be contributing nearly as much as your graphics cards. As I mentioned, the GPUs are going to be better at this kind of specialized workload. But the more the better. This can mean reducing the amount of time it takes to crack a password from weeks or months down to days or even hours if you've got enough horsepower to throw at it. That's the really great part about it.
Yeah, and so one of the things I know from being in your position a couple of years ago and doing the same things that you do, one tip that we can probably give people is if you have an older workstation that has a halfway decent GPU in it, but you're no longer using it for your main processing, with programs like Passware, right, you can actually put a Passware client on there and then use that to leverage your power as well, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. So that's one of the really cool parts. You could just keep adding power to it, assuming that you have enough PCIe slots in order to actually insert the card into. Obviously, if you've got a motherboard that's only got like one PCIe slot for a single graphics card, you're not going to be able to add a second one or any other additional hardware to it that might be able to do something with it.
Awesome. So I think that gives a pretty good coverage of cryptanalysis and what it is. I definitely do want to remind everybody that cryptanalysis is a very specialized field, right? And the workstations are specialized. So this is something that anyone out there that's interested in this should reach out to Sam directly. You can get him at sam@sumuri.com or call into the main number. Or even grab us on our website. We have a chat feature that's on there. Please take advantage of it. He has a lot of experience there. He's built a lot of these units and can help you get the most password cracking for the least amount of money by eliminating things in your system that aren't necessary for that.
Yep.
And then I want to remind everybody, obviously, we have podcasts because you're listening to it, but check out our videos. They're on YouTube along with these podcasts. You can catch the podcasts on just about anything that plays podcasts: SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast. We're out there pretty much everywhere. Be sure to check out our website and our newsletter. I alluded to it a little bit at the beginning. Right now we have something that we're trying to do with the situation that's going on. We're all in it together, right? So we want to make sure that all forensic businesses, large and small, have an opportunity to get the word out that everyone's open for business. We're going to get through this, and everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Sam, you have anything you want to add?
Not really. I think you stated it really well, but I think cryptos are probably one of my favorite machines out there in terms of just the raw power that you can get out of it. So it's always really fun to put a build together. I'd love to work with anybody that needs hand with getting a quote or anything like that. But yeah, no, just to echo off what you were saying, I just hope everyone out there is staying safe and healthy. I know we're doing our best here.
Well, there you go. You heard it first. Sam is asking for more quote work. He doesn't have enough with the 12 hours a day he seems to be spending quoting. So you guys need stuff, send it to Sam. He's just begging for work here, sounds like. All right, everybody, have a good one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the flip side.